What's going on, you guys? Welcome to Risky Ryan Trades. I got an exciting video for you today. We're going to go over, go over the week and prepare ourselves for the next week in these markets. Before we dive in, here is my disclaimer. Trading is risky. The content of this video is not financial advice, my opinion only, but I do hope that you get some value out of this video, and if you do, if you could hit that like button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, thank you to the subscribers that notified me of the poor audio quality in my last video. My phone was a little too close to the microphone and it was causing a beep, 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 beep throughout the whole thing. So I really apologize. If you actually sat through that whole video, thank you. But this one should be better. I'm still working on perfecting the audio quality, but I promise the analysis quality will be excellent in this video, or at least as good as I can do. We have a lot to cover, so I want to move quickly. But just to give a quick overview, we're going to look at the key levels. We're going to look at, are we going to be able to bust through the all-time highs on the S&P, or are we going to gap fill to the downside? Because there was a gap that we had last week. And we're going to go through the Magnificent Seven. We're going to talk about the sectors. We're going to talk about the rotation. I'm going to go over some stocks that I have my eyes on that I think could do really well next week. So let's dive right in. Today we had a gap up on the NASDAQ, the S&P, and the Russell. And then after that, we kind of just traded flat. But overall, a really good day today in the markets, up 1% or more on everything. The Russell greatly outperformed, 3%. So the Russell trade might be back on the menu for the markets. Looking at the heat map, you know, mostly green all around. Microsoft still lagging. Visa, MasterCard not doing so well. Tesla had a great day. Semiconductors had a great day. Intuit had a horrible day. My beloved Costco and Eli Lilly did not have a great day. But finally, United Healthcare come into life. We're going to go over that later. Looking at the ETFs, you can see regionals crushed it today. Small caps crushed it today. And some of these other names like home builders had a great day today. Home construction, retail and consumer discretionary continue to crush, and Bitcoin doing really well today. We're going to go over crypto at the end of this video as well. First off, I want to take a look at this. So this compares the S&P 500 in black to the Magnificent Seven in blue, to the equal weight in orange and the NASDAQ in purple. Now this is a 6-month chart. You can see that the Magnificent Seven has overperformed or outperformed. And if you had bought at a peak, you would regret doing so. Now, as we dial in to more recent times, you can see 3 months out, the RSP was really flat, but now it's kind of catching up and behaving alongside. Magnificent Seven still outperforming 3 months out. A 1-month chart, of course, it tightens up a little bit. Still the NASDAQ and the mags doing a little bit better. But this week, 5-day chart, the equal weight is starting to pull ahead again. And that checks out with the Russell doing better today. You also have, you can see the Magnificent Seven is actually trailing the S&P 500 by a bit, by about half a basis point. And the NASDAQ has been, it overperformed and then it kind of came down. So the NASDAQ's kind of in like this, what the heck is going on sort of situation. And then if you take a look at the Magnificent Seven stocks compared to the NASDAQ, you're going to see in green NVDA doing really well. And in second place is Tesla. Look at that. Now Tesla had a little rough one later in this week, but it recovered today for the most part. And then all the other Mag 7 stocks are underperforming the NASDAQ this week. Interesting, right? You have Microsoft holding up the bottom. Then you have Amazon and Meta. And then Apple after that. So there does appear to be a broadening that is occurring. Now, will this happen again next week? It could. I think it absolutely could. So you're going to want to keep a name on, or an eye on, NVIDIA, Tesla, and we're going to get into some of the other stocks here in a second to keep an eye on. But as far as the Magnificent Seven goes, we have been seeing Microsoft kind of not really performing that well, not bad, but not well, and Amazon's slow going as well. Taking a look at the ETFs, the different sectors, I didn't put every single one on here, but I picked the most important in my opinion. So you have the S&P or the NASDAQ in the black here, that's our baseline. And you've got semiconductors and tech, unsurprisingly, trading alongside it, pretty much same results. And then above that, the next group you have is consumer staples in yellow. You've got healthcare in blue right here, and you've got industrials. So those are performing just a little bit better than the NASDAQ. Next up, you have retail in red. Then you have biotech in blue and regional banks in orange. These are two of the largest constituents of the Russell 2000. If you're looking to trade the Russell 2000, these names are the better performers of the bunch. All right, let's take a look at the SPY, take a look at the NASDAQ, etc. And so what you're seeing here, this is the Ichimoku cloud, and you have the Tenkan-sen, the Kijun-sen, and this thing over here is the Chikou span. You want the Chikou span over price, which it is. You want the Tenkan-sen over the Kijun-sen, which it is, and you want price to be over the cloud, which it is. So the Ichimoku is now intact on the S&P 500 on the daily chart. And what you see here is called a Gann square. And you can see, historically, it finds support and resistance at these key levels here. See how it, and then these Gann levels often provide like the next leg up. You can see here we boom, almost came down to touch it again. And so now we are entering the arc on the S&P 500, and it does coincide with the all-time highs. If we can break the all-time highs, close a candle over it, not only do we get confirmation that we made a higher high, but we're also within the arc, which gives some level of safety because there will be some support there. Taking a look at the weekly chart, sometimes these levels change. Like on the weekly, it appears that we are inside of the arc, which is great. And actually, this is the highest weekly close that we've had in the S&P 500. Taking a look at my chart on the daily, you see we do have this gap, and that was on my thumbnail. I do not suspect that we will close that gap. The reason for it is we are holding the 10-day moving average really well. We have cloud support at around 554, and then you have the 50-day moving average above that gap sitting at 547. So yeah, could we get in here, wick below? We could, and that would be bad because then we'd have to get through the cloud and these moving averages again. But if you take a look at the weekly chart, you can see that we popped the parabolic SAR, which are these dots, and these indicate when uptrends form and when downtrends form. And so this indicates to me that we are now in a weekly uptrend. So the next 2 weeks, I suspect, will be pretty good. That doesn't mean that we go straight up. Doesn't mean that we don't get under this candle and tap the 10-day moving or 10-week moving average again. However, I think that we will break this level next week or the week after, with the ultimate goal of reaching this fib level of 585. So overall bullish on the markets. We aren't overbought anymore on the weekly. And if we go to the daily, we're we're not overbought either. So S&P looking pretty solid still. Taking a look at the NASDAQ. On a weekly chart, we are encountering some resistance at 480, and that is, you know, a major resistance and support zone. So if the SPY can break the level that it needs to, the NASDAQ should be able to break this level as well. You can see that we are not as close to breaking all-time highs on the NASDAQ as we are on the S&P 500. And the equal weight has already made all-time highs. So the big tech, big market cap names, there is a broadening happening, and now the NASDAQ is trailing. And I think we could see that continue through the quarter, or at least the near future. I could be wrong. We could have a huge catch-up, but I don't, and that could actually happen after NVIDIA's earnings. So up until NVIDIA's earnings, I would suspect that the small caps and the broadening continues, because there's no real catalyst to stop or change that rotation. Going back to the Qs, you can see this GAN level or GAN angle right here sits at about 490. So we would really need to pop up and over this, make an all-time high, and then we would be able to find some support there again. But we're going to find resistance at 480, going to find resistance at 490. Ultimately, though, we do want to get to this 545 level, and that is kind of far from here. You know, that's another 13%, but I don't think that it's unlikely at all that we that we tap that before the end of the year. I think it's entirely possible that we get up there from this point. Taking a look at my chart, we're still inside the cloud, and yeah, once again, this 490 level is basically the top of the cloud. And so once we can pop that, we may gap a little bit. But yeah, we're holding the moving averages, and let's see if the cloud has turned bullish yet. Cloud's about to turn bullish. So enough follow through next week, a little bit of strength, and we'll get a bullish cloud. If we can pop over this, then the Ichimoku will be intact on the daily time frame for the NASDAQ. Also, once again, 490. That seems to be the big number, 490. So remember that key level, because that would pop our parabolic SAR on the weekly chart as well. We do seem to have a decent amount of support here at the 10-day moving average and right here at 463 on the NASDAQ as well. I suspect a decent week next week out of the NASDAQ. Or you don't really usually see the S&P pop over and the NASDAQ not. So we do have some decreasing volume on these green candles, but that doesn't really worry me a whole lot, because this is normally a lower volume time of year. Let's take a look at the Russell. So the Russell confirmed its GAN level here at 211 and the Tenkan-sen. And, we pushed back up, and we might try to break this 226 again. On the daily, we do have a crossover here. Obviously a really big day for the Russell. We closed this gap and then pushed right back into this area that we were in before. So yeah, could the next leg of the Russell be upon us? I think so. I'm personally sticking with my big tech and NASDAQ stocks. I have, or at least in my long-term portfolio, just because I think in the long run they're gonna win. In the short run, yes, we absolutely could see, like what Tom Lee says, like some crazy 40% run in the Russell. It could happen, but there still are those lingering recession fears. And rate cuts also benefit big tech, but if there's a recession, big tech will do better than the small cap. So I just feel like the risk reward over the next 2 quarters is better for tech. But that's just my opinion. But we do have Tenkan-sen crossing over Kijinsen. We have an Ichimoku that is friendly to us. Tomorrow the Chiku span will be overpriced. So, I wouldn't blame you for trying to play the Russell trade again. Not at all. Okay, let's take a look at the Mag 7. We're going to start with NVIDIA, who had a really solid day today. We once again confirmed the top of the arc, which sits at about 125, and we pushed to 129.34. And that is very important. And I'll show you why right here. Oh, God. Okay. Ugh. There we go. First of all, we're getting real close to that parabolic SAR on the weekly time frame. And we also closed a candle over my fib level of 129.21. We came so close to popping this. It sits at about 131. But that would indicate an uptrend. Obviously, we are going to get earnings next week. So things should be pretty wild, and I do suspect that this thing moves higher. I'm holding through earnings. I've got a decent position. Wish me luck. But yeah, you're not going to want to miss those earnings. They are, I believe, they're on Wednesday, 8/26. When is that? No, that's not right. Is it right? Oh, that's a weekly chart. Hang on. 8/28, that's Wednesday. So yeah, that's a main event. That's basically like a macro event. It's almost more important than inflation data. It probably is more important than inflation data at this point. We're over the cloud. We're over this key level. We closed over it once again. So all these things tell me that, yeah, I think 160 is on the table. If if we get good earnings, we're moving higher on this name, in my opinion. Okay, let's take a look at Tesla. That was the other strong one this week. We pushed back up into the cloud on the daily time frame. On the weekly time frame, we created this doji. So really, we want to break this 228 level, but it looks like we have pretty much confirmed this Gann angle here. So can Tesla continue to have, momentum like this? I think it can, and that's why I recently invested in it. Going back to the daily here, top of the cloud sits at 235, and popping back over to this 235. 228 is the top of this weekly doji. So that's where we stand there. Let's take a look at my chart and look at some levels here for Tesla. Okay, so we are in an uptrend. The MACD crossover happened, but there was a little bit of a hiccup because we butt our head against the cloud, but we burst right back into it. Cloud is not yet bullish, so don't get too excited just yet on this. Chiku span is not overpriced yet, but if we can break through, we'll be there. Also, the downtrend line, we're back up and over it again, which is important. So Tesla, not really ready for a trade, but if you're a long-term investor, like I just began being, we are up and over this pennant, and overall, like I like what I see. I mean, we're also up and over the 50-day moving average, which gives us some more institutional support. So I suspect Tesla might have like a really strong week next week and just break over. I'm really hoping for that. Okay, taking a look at Meta. Meta had a rough one today. We could be getting our MACD crossover and coming back down to touch the 50-day. I would not be surprised at all. It might just find some support at 520, but yeah, next week might be kind of tough for it. Looking at the weekly, we did create like one of these kind of ugly candles here, but we did just begin a weekly uptrend. So I think it will be a temporary thing. I mean, we might come down, we might wick down, and then come back up by the end of the week. And also, there's some key levels here to take a look at on the Gann, because we did get up and over. We did get up and over this Gann level, which sits right at 523. The ARC sits at 504, and 504 would put us, I'm just looking at my other one, 504 would put us like right at the 50-day. So a retest of the arc would retest the 50-day. So that could happen, but I think that would be the bottom. Yeah, I think that would be the bottom if that were to happen. So yeah, so this 522, 504, those are some key levels to watch out for. I really like Meta in the long run, though. I think it runs up to 625 before earnings, before in October. I think it really could do it. All right, Apple almost did it. Here, let's look at the daily. Can't quite get over this GAN level, which is a little bit concerning. It is a little bit concerning. We do have some support nearby. Tenkan, top of the cloud, 220 is where that's sitting. So we really got to break up and over these candles before I would say it's time. It's on. It's time. And it seems like we're in a holding pattern. Are the bulls going to win? Are the bears going to win? So I wouldn't say like that this is necessarily like a sell signal, but it's not a buy signal for Apple. On the daily, we got a bullish cloud. Tenkan-sen's over Kijun-sen. We're over the cloud. Chiku span will be over price. If we can see some strength, we'll be up and over price on the Kijun-sen. So really, we got to break these levels. We gotta get to 228, close a candle over that, and then we will be in a much more safe position. But until then, jury's out on Apple. Looking at Microsoft, yeah, just like can't. We retested this GAN angle today. We wanted to touch it again, make sure, and then we closed under Kijun-sen and Tenkan-sen. So I don't love that at all. Just showing a lot of weakness. Yeah, we got a fat doji. We gotta close a candle over 421. We just gotta do it. We had it. A weekly candle I want to see. We had it up and over by a lot, and then it just touched Tenkan-sen and Kijun-sen, just rejected down. So Microsoft is going to be a slow mover, but if you're a long-term investor and you're looking to build a position, I mean, I like this support level here, and it's moving slower than the other stocks, so like you get a chance to kind of accumulate. Looking at my chart, we almost popped the parabolic SAR, which is really concerning, and that sits at 411. So we really do not want to go there, because then, I mean, geez, could we double bottom on Microsoft? Could it happen? That would be really concerning. So yeah, I don't like that. We're really flirting with disaster on Microsoft. Amazon closed over Tenkan-sen and Kijun-sen. Chiku span is overpriced. That's a weekly. So yeah, as ugly as this looks, it's not as bad as it seems. On a daily chart, still under the cloud, still not looking very good. But yeah, the cloud sits at like 187. Really, we gotta get back up into the 180s. Otherwise, we do have this GAN angle that held at 165. You might want to, if you're trying to find a buy point, that's where support will be at like 166. We might also be within this Fibonacci channel here. So we're already pretty close to the bottom of that. You could use that as support. But yeah, Amazon just needs to get its act together. And it's unfortunate to watch other consumer retail names climb in this environment where we had a recession scare and then it went away, and then consumer data came out really good, and then to see Amazon kind of flounder, it's kind of difficult to watch, but this thing can move explosively quickly, so we could see it, like next earnings or something, it could just move 10% in a week. That stuff happens with these big names. Actually, here, before I go to Google, let's take a look at Amazon on my chart, see if I'm seeing anything here. So on a daily, we closed right on the 10-day. We still have the 50 and the 200-day overhead. And so really closing a candle back up and over 180 is going to be necessary. We thought we had it. You know, we thought we had it the other couple days. Didn't work out in our favor. And yeah, we're really sitting on the weekly, like, Tenkan-sen and 50 days. So yeah, we got a doji here. We got to break this doji. And the top of this weekly doji is 182.50. So closing a weekly candle over that, and maybe it's time to hop in. But we are in a weekly downtrend still. Parabolic SAR sits all the way up at 195. Poor Amazon. It should be so much better. It should be so much better, shouldn't it? Google. Still under this level of 170. Tenkan-sen is holding. But yeah, I don't know about this one. I still don't know about this one. You know, it's got a good valuation and all that, but sometimes stocks have good valuations because nobody wants to buy them. Yeah, we tapped this GAN level this week and then just rejected back down, but we did close in this fib channel still. So next week is going to be really important. Are we going to break up and over, or are we going to come back down to the arc? So Google 170, that's going to be the critical level for Google. All right, let's take a look at semiconductors. We're right between these two levels, and it doesn't know if it wants to go up or down. The Ichimoku is all good on the weekly. On the daily, we're right below the cloud, and we're right below this arc here. Did that show on the weekly? Yeah. So yeah, on the daily, we get a little more zoomed in, and you can see, you know, we got to break this, Thursday open. So like 254, you know, we're getting in there, and 255 is a key level as well. So breaking through that, getting inside the cloud, inside the arc, that's what we want to see. Obviously, this is going to be greatly influenced by NVIDIA earnings. Bad NVIDIA earnings could send this whole thing into a downtrend back down to these lows, potentially even coming down to like 154. That would be crazy. But like, if you get 154, you got to buy the snot out of that, because it ain't going lower than that. And then you can get some outsized gains going into the next couple of years. I mean, that would be a hell of a buy point. Part of me hopes it hits this, because I might go on margin. Just kidding. I don't do that, but could not conceive of it going lower than this. And really, we want to see this thing follow through. Got to see some good earnings out of NVIDIA. All right, Netflix had a really solid week, but we closed the day below the arc. Oh no! Let's actually get in there. Let's get all up in it. See if we really close below it. In the final hour, looks like we closed inside. So, yeah, we're in the arc. Look at the weekly. Yeah, we're in the arc. We tried to even break through it. So a lot of strength showing in Netflix. Yeah, I like Netflix. And just to reiterate, so the arc sits right where it closed, right at about 686. Top of the arc is 705, 700. So yeah, if we can get it up in here like a daily candle and then like a retest with a wick or something, and then we move up, that might be a decent confirmation that we're going to move past 700. Spotify's another one I'm looking at closely. We closed inside of the arc this week. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. Spotify, I love Spotify. We're closing over the Tenkan-sen. Ichimoku is tight, which I like a lot. I like it when you close over the Tenkan-sen and you're not like way gapped above it. So we are still on an uptrend on Spotify. Let me just confirm that the daily cloud is good. Yeah, daily cloud is good. It looks like we do have some like key resistance levels here. It's 345 and again at 347. But we're finding support at Tenkan and the 10-day. So, and we are parabolic SAR. We're in an uptrend. So, and we had great earnings. We had like a really awesome earnings. We closed this gap. What a bunch of nonsense that was. And yeah, I think we're moving higher. As much as I see like this downward pressure, I think we're just, when we pop through it, it's going to be a super strong support level once we get through it. So it's going to want to get up to 364. And let's just take a look here. 364 is like a 7% move. Top of the arc is going to be like an 8% move. And then from there, goodness gracious, we're going to get all the way up 26%. Give it to me, baby. Got to make up for my holding in Microsoft. Ugh. Okay. We're going to take a look at a couple other important ones. Eli Lilly. You know, we're out of this arc. We're out of this arc. You know, it's consolidating because it's just had a monster move. And we've got to break over, you know, these highs here. But once we break past, you know, 1,000, this thing can move to like 1,152 in a blink of an eye, because this thing has been moving solid and strong. Wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit of a retrace back to this level, touch Tenkan and then move on. Costco, same kind of thing. Really strong move out of the dip, trying to contend with the all-time highs. We tapped Tenkan, confirmed it real strong. Let's take a look at the weekly. Yeah, so it even tried to get into the arc. So that arc sits right around the all-time highs at, call it $900. You know, we got to break 900 to really like call us in there. And then we have a GAN level at 927, top of the arc 968. All right. United Healthcare is, we're going to go over some stocks that I have my eye on. This one, I think, you know, you got to really zoom out. I'm going to turn the indicators off so you can really see, and this is a weekly chart, so you can really see like where we've been and where we're going. So like this takes us back to 2016, right? So we had a great one, COVID hit us, pushed up, and then since 2022, this thing never really dipped. It kind of held steady, as you would expect a healthcare stock to do. If you've watched my perfect portfolio video, you know that this outperforms the NASDAQ over the last 10 years, but it suffered less drawdowns because it's a defensive stock. And now we have a boom, and we are consolidating right at these previous all-time highs. And I do feel, you know, just based on the tight candle formation here, I do feel like if we can break over, we're going to really move higher. And actually, let's draw a fib from here to here. And once we break the arc, we would also break these highs. And from there, the next target would be 633. And from today, that would be like an 8% gainer. And I really think that this could happen in the next month or two. So, you know, I like it. You also, here, I'll leave those up here. Let's lock this. You also have some confluence here at like the GAN level and the next fib level up. And that's at like 742 to 750. And, you know, could we see an explosive move? We could. And that would put us 26% up. That'd be a big move. So I'd be happy to get that by the end of 2026, to be honest. But this GAN angle, it's holding. It's holding. And if we can get up and over the arc, I mean, I suspect that GAN angle will continue to hold. And we do have 2 years of consolidation that we just broke out of the range. And we have some support here. So I really like the risk reward on United Healthcare. There's almost, I don't want to say there's almost no risk, but it is a healthcare stock, gets you out of tech, grows. It's got some good technical support, you know, here that it's established. It's constructed really, really well. So love me some United Healthcare. Another stock that has been just absolutely solid is AbbVie, and you can see it broke out of the arc today or this week. And so the next GAN level is at 206. So I suspect that this will continue to do pretty good. All right, I'm gonna dive into crypto, but before I do, if you're still watching this video, thank you. If you haven't hit that like button, could you do me a favor and do that? Also, is there a stock that you want me to have on my regular rotation? Is there a stock that you want me to take a look at? I take requests, so leave those comments below. And is there a stock that you think is poised to crush it next week? Everybody, right now, leave a comment below. What's your favorite stock going into next week? I want to take a look at it. And whoever's right, you'll get a shout out. You'll get a shout out on the channel, and we'll all be waiting on bated breath to see your next stock pick. Okay, so that's the comment of the day. Okay, going into Bitcoin. Bitcoin had a dang, look at that, busted right back into the arc. You love to see it. You love to see it. Was this just on today? Hell yeah. Hell yeah, and it broke through the cloud. Dude, here comes Bitcoin. All right, I don't want to get too excited because this arc, I mean, it's served as like a important level, but it's not really like done much, you know, like we've broken in and out of it many times, but it likes to be in this area. So you could see some more price stability, but really, we got to get up and over. And we got these rate cuts coming. We got some good macro. And oftentimes, Bitcoin and the NASDAQ move together. So this could be a harbinger for good things for the NASDAQ. But yeah, we're up and over the cloud. Tengensen's over Kijinsen. Chiku span is not yet overpriced, but in 1, 2, 3, 4 days, we could, you know, by the end of the next week, we could very well be like all good on the Ichimoku. And if we go to the weekly, we are good on the weekly Ichimoku. Now, Chiku Span's we're going to need to do some work to keep the Ichimoku alive next week, because we got to get up to 70K next week. That would put us up and over this arc. And you know, the next level is like 84.5, 88. And then the top of this, or the bottom of this arc, is at like 93. This is a big, or the top of the arc's right there. Then there's a huge gap, you guys. Next level gets all the way up to like 120. So Bitcoin, doing solid. Let's take a look at Ethereum. Ethereum, not as solid. Not as solid. But on the daily, we got over Tengensen today. Once again, we got to break over this 3,000, and really we got to get up to like 3,500 again before this is like a healthy chart. But it's doing what it needs to do. We based here. This is going to serve as a good support level. We shouldn't need to come back down to this GAN of 2,400 again. So a little bit more follow through, and this will be a really solid support level. XRP. Continuing to crush it. Chiku span's overpriced. Yeah, I mean, this thing, I mean, it had a crazy day when the SEC filing came out good. We're having some consolidation, and it might be ready for its next leg higher next week. So crypto, keep your eye on crypto next week. There could be some really good trade opportunities. Doge had some strength today as well. So yeah, this is great. Last week I said if we just go sideways, we're going to get out of the arc, but the nature of the arc is it goes down. This tells me, yeah, we're trying to get back up to 12 cents, maybe even 13 cents. Really, to get super bullish on this though, you want to see like a full break of this downtrend line. And let's go ahead and draw it. So, let's bring this to here. I think that's probably more accurate. Let's just take these top wicks. So that sits right at the cloud. So yeah, breaking over 13 cents, 13.5 cents, you know, like that's where you want to be. Then you've broken this downtrend line. Solana had a good day. You know, crypto had a good day today. Solana got over the Tenkan, but it's still got a lot of overhead resistance. It's going to need some, you know, it's going to really need to push through, get to like 165 for this to kind of convince me that we're, you know, moving up. But we've been in this kind of zone here. We got to get over this scan level. 162.29 where the GAN level sits at. Are there any other coins you wanted me to take a look at next week? I'd be happy to do that. But I don't want this video to be too long. We're already at 40 minutes. If you have made it this far and you're not subscribed, you must like me a little bit. Consider becoming a subscriber. I try to do this. I always do a weekly recap. I try to do a daily recap. And you know what? As a bonus to you, I'm going to take a look at SOFI real quick. We pushed right to the top of the arc today. So this thing wants $8. It wants it so bad. So this is incredibly bullish. Anyways, yeah, don't forget to leave your comment below. What's your stock pick going into next week? And then you can also let me know what stock you want me to take a look at next week. Check on the health of that. Thank you so much for your comments, likes, and subscribes, and I will catch you on the next one. Have a great weekend. Risky Ryan out.